The mind is like a wild horse. If you do not learn to hold the reins, it will drag you through fear, through anger, through every pit that life has dug for the weak. But if you learn to control it, even storms will bow before you. For centuries, the Stoics warned us. A man who cannot master his own mind will always be a slave. No matter how many kingdoms he rules, what makes the difference between strength and weakness is not wealth, not power, not the applause of the crowd. It is the silent discipline within, the choice to rule yourself before trying to rule the world. If you wish to master your mind, you must be ready to accept the brutal truths that most people avoid. The Stoics did not speak in sweet lies. They spoke with iron words that cut away illusions. And if you are willing to hear them, these rules can forge your mind into something unshakable. The first rule is to remember that your thoughts are not facts. The crowd follows every thought that enters their head, as if it were a command from the gods. But a Stoic separates what is real from what is imagination. When anger rises, he tells himself, "This is only a thought, not reality." When fear whispers, he says, "This is only the mind's shadow, not the truth." To master your mind, you must train it like a soldier trains with a sword, cutting down useless thoughts before they grow into chains. The second rule is to embrace discomfort. The weak spend their life chasing comfort, soft pillows, easy pleasures, and they rot from the inside. The Stoic reminds himself daily that pain is a teacher, not an enemy. Hunger sharpens gratitude. Cold strengthens endurance. Hardship shapes courage. If you run from discomfort, your mind becomes fragile. But if you accept it, your mind becomes steel. Ask yourself, when was the last time you deliberately chose the harder path, not the easier one? Mastery begins where comfort ends. The third rule is silence. In a world that worships noise, the Stoic withdraws into quiet. Why? Because silence is where the mind shows its true face. A man who cannot sit alone in a room without distraction is not free. His mind is a prisoner of stimulation. To master your mind, you must learn to enjoy stillness. To listen not to the endless chatter of others, but to the calm judgment within. The crowd talks to feel alive. The Stoic remains silent to remain in control. The fourth rule is to remember death. Memento mori, the ancients repeated. And they were not being dark, they were being awake. To remember that you will die is not to fall into despair, but to see clearly. The mind becomes disciplined when it knows time is short. Procrastination dies when death is remembered. Fear becomes small when you realize that the worst already waits for all of us. To master your mind is to stop living like you are immortal, and to start acting as if every moment matters. The fifth rule is to separate what is within your control from what is beyond it. The Stoic mind is sharp because it does not waste its fire on things it cannot change. If someone insults you, that is outside your control. But your response, your attitude, that belongs to you. If fortune gives or takes away, that is outside your control. But your character, your virtue, that belongs to you. The mind becomes a fortress when it stops scattering its soldiers in battles it cannot win. Ask yourself, how much of your daily suffering is because you fight storms you cannot control? Each of these rules may seem harsh, but they are the foundation of freedom. Most people want comfort, not mastery. They want sweet words, not brutal wisdom. But the Stoics knew, the man who takes the harder path today becomes the unbreakable man tomorrow. Mastery is not given. It is carved into the mind through practice, discipline, and acceptance of truth. You have only one enemy, the untamed mind within you. But you also have the weapon, the Stoic rules that cut away weakness. Begin to practice them for just 25 minutes a day, and you will notice the shift. The noise of the world grows quieter, the storms inside become still, and you, no longer dragged by wild thoughts, begin to ride them like a master rides the horse. This is the first step toward unshakable strength. The mind is not conquered in a single battle. It is a long war, and every day either you win over yourself or you are defeated by yourself. The Stoics knew this truth better than anyone. The man who cannot lead his own thoughts will end up being led by the world. If you want mastery, you cannot only touch these rules once. You must grind them into your soul until they become instinct. These are not soft lessons, they are brutal. But brutality is needed when the enemy lives within. The sixth rule is to cut attachment to praise and blame. Most people live as puppets, dancing to the applause of others, breaking down at the sound of criticism. The Stoic mind rises above both. Praise is dangerous because it feeds the ego. Blame is dangerous because it poisons the spirit. If you depend on either, you are not free. A master of the mind asks only one thing. Did I act according to reason and virtue? The crowd may laugh. They may cheer, they may condemn, but their noise is nothing. Only your own integrity matters. To free your mind, you must kill the need for validation. The seventh rule is to practice restraint. People think freedom means doing whatever you want, whenever you want. The Stoics knew this is slavery disguised as freedom. The man who cannot say no to desire is not free. He is a prisoner of it. Food, lust, anger, comfort, wealth, if these things command you, then you are weak. The Stoic mind is like a king. It commands its desires, it does not obey them. To master your mind, you must learn to hold back when the urge is strong. You must prove to yourself that you are greater than your impulses. Restraint is the mark of true strength. The eighth rule is to use reason as your sword. Emotions are waves, and if you let them carry you, you will be drowned. But reason is the anchor. The Stoic mind pauses before reaction, judges before speaking, measures before deciding. This is not coldness, it is clarity. Anger, fear, jealousy, greed, these are the wildfires of the soul. Reason is the water that extinguishes them. A man without reason is a storm. A man with reason is a mountain. If you wish to master your mind, make reason your constant guard, standing over every thought like a soldier at the gate. The ninth rule is to remember that suffering comes from judgment, not from events. The Stoics said, "You are not harmed by what happens, but by what you tell yourself about what happens." When fortune strikes you, when insult touches you, when failure arrives, the weak mind screams, "I am ruined." The Stoic mind says, "This is indifferent. I still have my virtue." Mastery is not about living a life free from pain. It is about living a life free from false judgment. Nothing outside of you has power unless you hand it power. Withdraw that gift and you are untouchable. Together, these rules are not suggestions. They are weapons. The ordinary mind is like a leaf, blown wherever the wind commands. The Stoic mind is like stone, unmoved by the storm. But this does not come naturally. It requires practice, discipline, and above all, brutal honesty. You cannot lie to yourself and expect mastery. You cannot live in distraction and expect clarity. You must be willing to cut away the illusions that most people cling to. The need for approval, the slavery of desires, the blind reaction to emotions, the false belief that life is unfair. Only when these illusions die does freedom begin. Each time you follow these rules, your mind grows sharper. Each time you fall, you must rise again. Do not expect perfection, expect progress. The Stoics themselves failed and corrected, fell and stood again. Mastery is not a finish line. It is a way of living. When you wake in the morning, remind yourself, today I will meet anger, fear, temptation, weakness, but I will meet them armed, for I have rules sharper than any sword, and I have the discipline to wield them. You have now been given the brutal Stoic rules that carve a man into strength. If you take them seriously, if you give them even 25 minutes a day, you will notice the chains inside begin to break. Your mind, once your master, will begin to obey you. The storms will still come, but you will walk through them like a warrior walks through the battlefield, scarred but unshaken. This is the promise of Stoicism. Not a life without struggle, but a mind that cannot be defeated by it. The mind that is trained in Stoic discipline becomes a fortress, but a fortress is not built once and left alone. Stones must be checked, walls repaired, defenses strengthened, because the enemy never sleeps. Your enemy is not the world outside. It is the weakness within. To master your mind in 25 minutes a day, you must turn these rules into daily practice, not just philosophy. The Stoics never wasted time in endless talk. They acted, they lived, they trained themselves like soldiers preparing for war. If you wish to carry their wisdom, you must do the same. Begin each day by facing yourself honestly. Do not rush into distraction. Do not grab the noise of the world before you have heard the silence of your own mind. Close your eyes and ask, what will I allow to rule me today, impulse or reason? Desire or discipline? Fear or courage? This moment is where mastery begins. For 25 minutes, you can practice ruling your mind. 25 minutes of silence. 25 minutes of reflection. 25 minutes of applying these rules in thought and action. And slowly, those 25 minutes shape the other 23 hours of your life. When anger comes, pause and remember, this is only a thought, not truth. When fear appears, tell yourself, this is only a shadow, not reality. When desire tempts, remind yourself, this is a chain, not freedom. Every reaction you control is a victory. Every moment of restraint is a brick in the fortress. And when you fail, as all men fail, do not despair. The Stoic way is not perfection, it is persistence. Fall, rise again, rise again. The unbreakable mind is forged in the rhythm of defeat and return. The world will test you. It will insult you, tempt you, challenge you, praise you, and curse you. But the Stoic does not belong to the world. He belongs to himself. He does not beg for fortune, he does not fear misfortune. He simply acts according to reason and virtue, no matter the outcome. This is freedom, to be untouchable by what you cannot control, and to be master of what you can. The crowd lives in chains because they have never practiced this, but you, with 25 minutes a day, can begin to cut those chains. Do not wait for the perfect time. Do not wait for wisdom to come from books alone. Live the rules now. Choose discomfort instead of comfort. Choose silence instead of noise. Choose restraint instead of indulgence. Choose reason instead of impulse. Choose virtue instead of reputation. Choose discipline instead of excuses. Each choice seems small, but together they shape the mind into something the world cannot shake. Remember, life is short. The Stoics repeated memento mori not to darken life, but to sharpen it. Every day lost to weakness is gone forever. Every moment wasted in fear or anger or distraction is a piece of your life thrown away. But every moment you rule your mind is a step toward freedom, toward strength, toward peace that cannot be stolen. Do not think of mastery as some distant goal. Think of it as the choice before you right now. Will you rule yourself or will you be ruled? If you take these 9 brutal rules and practice them daily, your mind will begin to obey you like a well-trained horse obeys its rider. You will face storms, but you will not break. You will feel pain, but you will not be controlled by it. You will hear praise and blame, but you will not be moved by either. You will live with discipline, with reason, with clarity. And when death comes, as it comes to all, you will face it without fear, because you have already mastered the greatest challenge, yourself. So the choice is yours. You can continue as the crowd does, carried away by thoughts, by impulses, by illusions. Or you can begin, even for just 25 minutes today, to live by the Stoic way. Brutal rules, yes, but rules that make men free. The question is not whether you know them, the question is whether you will practice them. For in the end, mastery is not in knowing, it is in doing. And the one who does, the one who practices, becomes unshakable.